So there's this thing in the trans community called the cotton ceiling. And doesn't just the name give you the creeps? This is a concept wherein trans individuals complain that the people they want to have sex with don't want to have sex with them, because those people view them as the sex they biologically are and not the sex they are trying to appear as. And as the name suggests, they put this supposed conundrum of lesbians not wanting to have sex with males and gays not wanting to have sex with females on the same level as actual women not getting paid equally to men and not being able to rise within the power structure purely on merit. Because those two things are obviously the same, obviously on the same level. For as much as trans women claim to be on the side of real women, you'd think they'd be a lot more concerned with the glass ceiling, but no, they are much more concerned with whether or not we are giving them sex. What a classic example of female behavior. And when trans activists bring this stuff up, they say it as if it's just another serious human rights issue that affects many, when it's mainly just a bunch of men whining that they can't have their way with the women they prefer to have sex with. And they are actively bullying some gays into having relationships with trans-identified people while knowing on some level that gays won't fight back because their movement is so closely tied to that of trans-identified persons. And at this point, if gay people were to say, hey, we don't like or don't trust trans-identified people, all most people without a brain are going to hear, and that's most people, by the way, all they're going to hear is, our entire movement was based on lies. And trans activists know this. This has been their plan from the jump, to co-opt the gay movement and corner them so that they can continue taking advantage of an already vulnerable group. You ever notice how trans rights activists love to bring up Stonewall and how it was so obviously a trans woman who threw the first stone, even though the truth is no one knows who actually threw the first stone. But trans activists will say it was a trans woman all day long so that they can hold it over gay people's heads that trans individuals helped them gain their rights, and so now owe them somehow, even though they were also supposedly fighting for their own rights. Like, if both groups were fighting for their own individual rights, why would one group owe the other group anything? It doesn't really make any sense, but either way, at this point, it seems they want sex as payment. They're pulling what I like to call a triple SA, societally sanctioned sexual abuse, wherein predators gaslight society into believing that their rights are more meaningful than that of others and will always have higher priority no matter what the predator does. Let's move on. I think we can all agree that trans rights activists just love to compare their movement to many others. So let's do that, shall we? When Black people asked for rights, firstly, the only reason we had to ask for them was because white people had all the means of production and would regularly and literally burn anything we built for ourselves to the ground. But that's another story. The point is that we wanted reasonable acceptance in the way of legislation. We wanted to be able to buy a house, get credit, get a job, all based purely on our qualifications and not be denied simply because of our race. Now, if that's all trans people were asking for, I don't think anyone would object. Yet, they seem to be much more interested in things involving sex, specifically sexual relations with the objects of their own attraction. Now, that being said, I don't think I've ever heard a single Black person ever utter the words, if you're white and don't want to have sex or a romantic relationship with a Black person, that means you're racist. Because doesn't that sound iffy? And of course it does, because not only is it genuinely creepy in and of itself, but Black people are already looked down upon by all of society, so we are demonized no matter what we do. But let a trans woman say it. If you're a lesbian and don't want to have sex with a trans woman, you're a bigot. Now it's somehow okay, especially if this person is white. They automatically receive a halo effect, and most every person left of center politically will go along with this narrative because it coincides with gender ideology, and gender ideology is seen as a fact. These people operate from the assumption that a male that identifies as a woman is definitely a woman, and so if a biological female does not want to have sex with him,
that means she's definitely bigoted.
But the fact of the matter is, it wouldn't matter one way or the other if she was bigoted, because no one should get a say on what someone else does with their body. Why are they actively choosing to politicize what goes on in other people's bedrooms? I thought the entire point of the gay rights movement was to not do that. Confused? I was too. But here's the deal. The cotton ceiling is a threat on the part of trans-identifying persons directly to gay people and women. And the threat is this: have sex with me or you will be canceled. Have sex with me or I will take your entire community away from you. Have sex with me or you will look like a bad person in the eyes of everyone we know. And it is a threat I take seriously and personally.